All right, well, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks for braving the weather and hanging out with us. I know sometimes evening sessions are a little bit weird. This is a session that we've shared with other people, and it's been really valuable. My name is Cody Stepp, one of the co-founders at Workflow Secrets. We're a real estate software technology company, and
I'm Mark Stepp. I'm his father. So,
yeah.
Father-son.
Mark has been in real estate technology for 35 years, and I guess I grew up around the entrepreneur, and of the four siblings, I was the one slated to take on the task. But I'm not really going to dive too much into real estate technology or anything tonight, but what we share oftentimes with real estate agents is the power of building systems. And so that's kind of what we're going to be covering tonight. We're going to be diving into the core systems, the 4 areas that you need to really focus in on building systems in your business. This is going to be helping you drive what's called a world-class client experience. And we're going to sprinkle in a little bit of AI because we are an AI-first real estate CRM. I like to make the disclaimer. So far, no one's gotten too mad at me about it, but we are going to showcase our product a little bit. But it's not a sales pitch or anything. It's just a convenient example.
And one thing to remember is as we're going through the process of showing some of this, the ideas go with any business.
Absolutely.
It's not just real estate. So, think about, this is how I could put it into, twist it just a little bit into my business.
That's right. Yeah. And truly, if you have a business that works with other people, it's going to be for you. So we put together a couple different handouts. You can go to workflowsecrets.info/AI business systems development. It's the longest URL ever. So we also have QR codes. So you can grab that. And there's a couple resources. We're going to touch on them during the session. Typically, we'll spend 90 minutes with you guys. And since it's been truncated to about 30, we'll probably just touch on them and keep moving. But obviously, we'll make sure you guys can get connected with us. So if you have any questions after that. But the ultimate goal is if you guys find yourself in the hustler mindset, this is really common with people as they're starting to build their business. I've got to work 9 days a week, 72 hours a day, and somehow also sleep, have a life, and engage with people in your life. Well, we want to kind of break through that belief and move you towards a systems thinker. So in real estate, oftentimes we hear individuals talk about the 2 major issues. They don't have enough time in their life, and the technology they're using is either outdated or just simply doesn't do the job. And maybe this is something that you also feel akin to, right? Well, for the last, half a decade, I've been listening to all these webinars and trainings and sessions, and all these gurus always tell people the secret is systems. Well, maybe you don't know what a system is, but you're going to in just a second. But that's the ultimate goal. We're going to start moving you towards the systems thinker mindset. So let's go ahead and just start on the ground floor. What in the world is a system? Mark, if you want to kind of take over.
Yeah, so for the longest time during the trainings and stuff that I teach, we talk about how do you set up systems? What are those either automations or processes? It doesn't even have to be automated, but those processes that you do each and every day. We do talk about routines. Whenever you get up in the morning, you have a morning routine. You do certain things. You brush your teeth, you get coffee, all the different things. Well, you do them kind of automatically, okay? And setting up systems or setting up routines in your business is the same thing. You need to do that. In the past, what we might do is go into the idea of saying, well, I want to spend some time with you. Every 30 minutes, kind of log what you're doing. And there was times when we would spend a couple weeks doing things, and we'll go over that in a minute. But a lot of systems are step 1, step 2, step 3. Christy was kind of talking about that. Some of the things that you're going to do whenever you have an outbound system, day 1, day 2, day 3, you're sending out emails. Well, these are what we call deterministic systems. They have a point A, you're going from point A to point Z, and everything in between is known. Okay, that would be the workflow. That's the routine. That's the process. Now with AI, everybody is touting the power of AI and how do we use that in our business. Well, now it's not necessarily knowing the deterministic. It's non-deterministic, where I can say I'm starting here on A. I want to get here, Z. How do I get there? Well, I let the AI do some of the guiding for me, because unfortunately people don't always follow the script. You know, you're on the phone, you're talking to somebody, and they ask a question that's not on the sheet. You know, how do you do that? Well, AI can help think through that process and immediately give you answers. So setting up those systems to be able to do that.
Excellent. So, like Mark was saying, traditionally you would have some sort of task tracking sheet. Oftentimes, gosh, Mark, you've been teaching this to agents for 2 decades,
Yeah.
and it would typically be a 2-week period. Every 30 minutes, you have an alarm go off, and you go, "Man, what did I just do for the last 30 minutes?" And you can start to build a list of all of those daily activities and all of the different processes. But you kind of are looking to spot those bottlenecks. You're really looking to boil down on this big question: where is my time going? And as you start figuring out what tasks are taking up time, what am I doing again and again and again, you're going to start to see those key holes that allow you to start to find these systems. So this is the traditional way. It could still be used, but 2 weeks is an awful long time. And can you imagine for 2 weeks having an alarm go off every 30 minutes? My gosh, I don't know how you did it.
We used to take little sticky notes, and it's like, okay, log what you were doing, stick it up on the wall, and then you can make a timeline of everything that your process did. Okay, day 1, day 2, day 3. And then you could kind of move things around where there were different logs of different things that were typical, and the process was outlined that way. But man, that was a long, drawn-out process.
So here's where AI enters into our systems building and systems thinking. So the power of AI tools is that you can share what your overall goal is. Oftentimes these are called objectives. I'm hoping to create a series of 10 emails, something like that. And the system can use what you shared with it and what it knows, and it can start moving towards those goals. So the traditional system, just like Mark was saying, is moving from A to B to C, all the way to Z. With an AI system, you can start at A and you say, here's A, and choose the best path to get to Z. And then the system can go off and use the power of AI. The really neat thing about it, it knows everything because it's read everything.
But it can hallucinate, so you want to be sure not to always follow it. But
yeah, so this gives you some flexibility because the system can make the decisions that are going to be best for you. And then it's also going to allow you to personalize the responses that you get. And we'll dive into that in just a second. So personalizing through AI, this is one of the really cool things that you can start to do when you start uncovering these systems and allowing AI. So in our software, it's got a database. It stores all of your contacts, just like your iPhone. And as business builders are putting their information in there, real estate is a people business. You know, you're building relationships. Well, I would wager that you're probably in a people business too, right? And so as you're working with people, you start infusing all the different fun facts and informational pieces. What do they like? What do they dislike? What are their goals or dreams? Little information about their family. As you put that in there, the system can then use that. You're sharing it with the AI, and then it can help adapt things like your emails and your text messages. It can learn what your preferred language is. It can adjust to that, or even just build specific content for people. So there's an adaptability that comes just with the vastness of what AI is able to do. But the ultimate goal of this is helping to deliver that personal touch. So Mark, for years has taught about the core strategies framework. This is like one of your oldest coaching frameworks that I know of. So I'd love for you to just kind of dive into this.
Absolutely. So core strategies really kind of comes down to the idea of there are 4 core elements to pretty much any business. We teach it for real estate, but CORE, it's an acronym. C is for conversions. Anything that you do, like generating lead magnets or nurturing your prospects, all the things that you do to get from getting that name all the way until you get some kind of closed signature on the paper of some sort, that's your conversion process. You've got to spend a little bit of time to nurture that and figure out what you want in there. But it's attracting those leads and converting them to clients. Now, the O of core is your operations. Everything from the time I get that signature all the way to closing day. If for real estate agents, they may have a listing agreement, they may have a buyer's agreement, all the way through the process of tracking, where am I at in the process of staging, of photography, of marketing, all the things until they get a buyer. The buyer then goes through the contract to close process. And then at that point, you get to closing day. Okay, that is the operations. That's where you make your money. From that point is the R, is the retention. How do you retain these customers for, in real estate terms, it could be 3, it could be 7, it could be 14, 20 years, before they buy something else. So the retention is extremely different in different businesses, but it may be, a few weeks for whatever business you're in. That retention process is something that you want to make sure happens so that they remember you either whenever they need you again, or if somebody says, hey, do you know a good real estate agent? Well, make sure, you've given them a reason to recommend you. Then E is the experience. And this is probably, it's a little bit outside of the first 3, but it encompasses all 3 of them. You want to give a good experience in all 3 of the previous ones. If an experience is remembered, if they enjoy what they went through, then, and we want to make sure it's a good experience. Bad experiences can do the same thing. It's just in reverse. But you want to make sure you deliver that world-class experience in whatever you're doing for the first 3.
That's right. So think of it this way. Our conversions are going to be the things that bring people into our business. This is the social media posts. Mark said the lead magnets. Those are like resources that you exchange for email addresses or phone numbers, or just any kind of resource. Maybe even going to events like this. Sometimes that ends up having a good conversation. Those operations are going to keep your business running once you have them in there. And then one of the things I absolutely love, just like double tapping on this, the retentions is so valuable, because this is where if you do your retentions right, your people are going to come back to you again and again, and they're probably going to start sending their friends. Now, this is where the power of having good systems comes in, because as they send your friends, their friends they've gassed them up, right? And their friends are coming ready for a great experience. Well, with a good system, they're going to get the exact same experience every single time. Doesn't matter who is going through that process. And so sometimes, even if we did take those 2 weeks, you're like, oh man, 2 weeks is a long time. But that 2 weeks builds out a system that is repeatable, so that no matter how many people come to you, if it's 1 person or if it's 100 people at the exact same time, you can give them that great experience that's going to help your business grow.
Systems, one of the things if you just want to, go around the corner, you can see a McDonald's. Mm-hmm. How many McDonald's are successful because of systems? How many businesses could run on high schoolers if there weren't systems? Mm-hmm. Think about that.
That's right. So here's our first little segue. And now that we kind of understand what systems are, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an opportunity. Will probably only take about 30 seconds, but just start thinking through these questions. And you've got some homework. You can absolutely go, and these resources will help guide you through that. But start thinking about, man, what processes are working well for me? What are the bottlenecks? And what am I currently doing that's taking up the most time? If you think through those 3 questions, you're on the right track to start finding a secret that is going to unlock your ability to build these systems. So here's that QR code again. And if you need it, it's right there. If not, we're going to keep going. So we kind of understand what a system is, but now let's dive into this world-class client experience. Now, Mark, you have one of my favorite stories about a world-class client experience. So let's give it.
Yeah. So it's been several years ago, 10 or 15 years ago. I had a business meeting in San Diego, and being from the Midwest, like every good Midwestern, I really enjoy steak and potatoes. So right around the corner, there was a Ruth's Chris steakhouse, and I was like, okay, I need some steak. So I went to the steakhouse. I was by myself, and I walk in, and as soon as I walked in, the maitre d' asks me, "Are you dining alone? Or are you with somebody?" I said, "I'm by myself here for a business trip." She asked for my name, and then immediately one of the attendees came and she called me by name. She said, "Mary, this is Mark. He'll be dining alone with us," and then she takes me then into the dining area. Mary then introduced me to the waiter, and John, this is Mark. He's here with us, and we go through this whole process of introducing me, treating me like royalty. And I sat down and he handed me my menu. I started looking through it. It wasn't anything exactly what I wanted, but I asked him, could you just give me a really good steak and potatoes and whatever. And he said, yeah, absolutely. And he says, I'll be right back. So he goes out there, and when somebody says I'll be right back, normally it's 10 minutes later. But he came right back. He said, okay, I've got everything in line for you. It'll be X number of minutes. We will, do you need anything right now? I said, no, I'm good. So we go through this process, and almost to the second he brings the plate to me, I'm looking at the steak. It really looked good. And I decided, okay, this is going to be good. He asked if there was anything else I needed. No. So he starts to turn, and then all of a sudden I realize I don't have any steak sauce. How do I eat a steak without steak sauce? And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I do need something. He goes, how can I help you? I said, I need some steak sauce. And he just kind of gave me a smirk and was like, how about if you try it first before you get the steak sauce? I said, okay, but I always get steak sauce. He said, just try it, trust me. So I cut into it, and I mean, it could have been a butter knife and just cut right through it. It was just really nice. I take a bite, and it was just juicy and tender, and it was just beautiful. Okay, and he looks at me with a smile and says, "Do you need that steak sauce?" I said, "No, it's perfect, thank you." He said, I get that a lot. People don't realize that in most cases, if you need steak sauce, I'll take it back to the chef and get it done because it's not done right. And so I agreed with him at that point and went on. And just constant things. They kept checking on me and everything. At the end of the day, I went and left. I went to my business meetings and stuff. I go back home. And as soon as I drive in, I open the mailbox. I had some mail in there. I open it up, and there's a card from Ruth's Chris. The chef had signed it. The waiter, the maitre d', all these people, thank you, Mark, for coming and visiting. We know that you probably had a long trip. We hope that your meal was, good. All this stuff, and I mean, they knew who I was in that moment. Now, the question was, in my mind, was how did they get my address? Now, this was before, it was more than 10 years ago, because it was before a lot of the things that would reverse engineer the stuff. But I guess they got it from my American Express or something like that. But in either case, I was just blown away. And so the question became, who benefited from that? I mean, obviously, I had an amazing steak. I enjoyed the service. The guy got tipped really well. I mean, obviously he benefited, and the whole team, because I gave a very sizable tip. So, both of us made out well there. Was it by happenstance, or was it by design? And it was very much by design. They had systems in place, and they treated their customers with world-class experience. And I have remembered that, all this time, and I can't tell you how many thousands of people I've told that story to. So not only now I've not been back to that, but I can guarantee you that somebody in the thousands of people that I've talked to, somebody would have gone back there. And that experience is what we need to do in our businesses with each of our customers, giving them that world-class experience.
That's right. So not only are you probably now pretty hungry, sorry, but
unless you're vegan,
maybe you've started to kind of see. I'm bought in every time. I think I tasted that steak as you told the story. But how can we use AI? How can we use the tools that we have at our disposal to build that kind of experience? Oh my gosh. Well, there's a really powerful way that we can do this. Follow-ups are an easy way. We can make sure that every message feels like it was written. I was talking about, you can gather all these personal details about an individual, put it in your system. You're probably gathering them anyways. You might as well let the system use them. And then you can also ask the system to make sure, hey, double check me, make sure nothing falls through the cracks. How embarrassing would it have been if Mark was getting that steak and they just forgot to give him the steak? End of story. No one had a world-class experience then. So having a system be able to do this, it helps it helps remind people how smooth the process was and how great they felt while working with you.
And it's very repeatable. That's the main thing, is making sure that's repeatable.
So when we're talking about systems, Mark kind of broke down, there's traditional systems and then there's AI systems. Well, the real truth is it's not one or the other. You don't have to pick between the two. Those traditional systems are going to have their place because consistency is really important. But for those AI systems, like Mark was saying, customers don't always follow the script. I was on the hold with my doctor for 5 hours the other day, and I probably pressed 1 700 times. And so we don't have to choose between that press 1 mentality. We can work to find the objective, find the goal of what they want, and we can infuse that into these systems. And that's consistency plus flexibility, right?
With the AI, especially right now, and the press 1 is, in the past, there have been systems in place, phone systems, well, they'll have press 1, press 2, press 3, based off of what your need is. Well, what if I need a press 9 and 9 isn't an option? It's something that's not there. That's where AI can come in and say, oh, they really want this. It's related to this, so let's move them into this department. That's the important part there.
That's right. And so in systems like ours, there are AI agents. That's like the big buzzword right now. We like to call them assistants because we work with real estate agents, and that's confusing. But you can actually build these into your systems, and they can help manage these tasks. That way you're not having to make the person who's experiencing working with you go through those extra hurdles. And so that's the power of making sure that your clients feel like you're with them, even when you can't be. Maybe it's, one of our clients is an electrician, and sometimes he's handling high voltage, and he does not have time to pick up his phone because 220 volts is pretty spicy, So he has an assistant that helps with that. So what if you had an invisible assistant, right? AI is that invisible assistant, and can act as your business partner. So, like I said, tools like SAM inside those databases, you're putting that information. It's learning about all of the different details that you've worked hard. You've not only to learn about these people as you're building relationships, but probably even put in the system. You can make sure that it always focuses on that follow-up, and it can personalize those messages using that information. Maybe it's adapting the specific language, but the key benefit at its core is AI makes sure that you as the human are the one who truly shines. When you can start finding those systems and you can start building them out so that you don't have to do all of the repeat follow-ups, all those things. You don't have to send an email each and every time you're helping 10 people. Now you got a little bit of free time. Now you have the ability to do that retentions piece. You can really focus in on, man, how can I drive that world-class experience? Is it a handwritten note from the entire team that was from the steakhouse? Or is it additional coffees with your clients? There's lots of little touches that are going to just carry a lot of weight with them, and they're totally unlocked when you have the ability to just kind of remove tasks from your plate. So our last little breakout, what happens when you think in systems plus using AI? So obviously the goal of this one, start thinking about, man, how can I start to reclaim my time? How can I focus in on those repetitive tasks? And how can I do that using AI? Now, an easy answer is, obviously you could use our software, but it's probably not for you. So how can I use tools like ChatGPT, which is, you're able to get a free account with that, Claude or Grok. There's lots of different resources out there. You can take a writing sample, just pick any old, piece of content that you've written. You can plug that in there and say, here's how I like to write. I'd like you to remember that. And then it can start creating those personal messages. Or you can tell it a little bit about your business. Maybe you go as far as to write a one-page document explaining your brand and your brand brief. Who am I? Who do I work with? How do I help them? Everything that we were learning about in that last session. You throw that in there and say, here's a little bit about my business. How can you help me create social media posts? How can you help me find the right people? What different tasks can you do? The world is your oyster, right? So if you missed that, here's that QR code again. We were speaking at an event, and we were on a stage, and then the screen was literally like this. Terrible presentation, but so things adapt out of necessity, right? But that's kind of the big premise of today. So what's your next system? Hopefully we've helped you move from this idea that, man, I've just got to hustle my way to building this business. And maybe we've had just a little bit of a belief breakthrough on our way to developing this systems thinking. Now, our company is called Workflow Secrets, so I like to do a little tongue-in-cheek of, this is the workflow secret. You don't have to build all of your systems at once. Pick a system, think through, how can I build the best system possible?
Maybe it's just one small thing. How do you eat an elephant?
Mm-hmm.
One bite at a time.
Yeah.
And it may be, what is your biggest pain point? What's that one thing that I can concentrate on today for 1 hour to help me identify the problem, figure out what the best solution is, and then be able to use that solution over and over and over again.
And then from there, all you need to do is decide, is this something that I need to build into an automation? Or is this something that AI can actually help me out with? And then you have to embark on the hardest part. You have to get to work. But once you do that, you've now built something really incredible. So that's kind of the big premise of our talk. We like to open up the floor for Q&A. I don't know how much time we have left. 10 minutes. Okay. Excellent. So we're kind of yours for the next 10 minutes. If you guys have any questions, or
I do have one more story. One of the
Yeah.
things that, as Christy was talking, she brought back a lot of memories um, because of her family structure being in real estate and stuff. I do enjoy or do like to kind of help people understand why I got into this business of helping people, and it comes down to my first business partner, Peggy Mitchell. She was a Coldwell Banker agent in Springfield, Missouri, and um, she was helping me build a brand new CRM system for real estate agents. And one evening, I said, Peggy, why are you willing to help me on this? Because we kind of met in a weird situation, and but she was very open about trying to help me uh, help other real estate agents. And she goes, "I'll tell you what, let me tell you a story." And I was just, okay, I'm all ears. She goes, there was a time when, as a real estate agent, I was spending all my time open houses, being at the office, all this kind of stuff. And there was one night that she came home. It was late in the evening, and she expected to put her daughter should have already been in bed. And so she went in to tuck her in, and Amber wasn't in bed. And she thought, well, that's weird. So she decided to go into the living room. Amber wasn't there. She went down to the family room downstairs. Amber wasn't there. And her heart starts palpitating, and she was getting very concerned. Where is Amber? And she's telling me the story. It's like, what happened? And so she went up into each of the different bedrooms. Finally, she went into her own bedroom, and in there she saw Amber's legs sticking out of the closet. She goes down, scoops her up. Luckily, she was just asleep, and she goes, "Amber, you scared me to death. Why are you in my closet?" She goes, with her sleepy eyes, she goes, "I'm sorry, Mommy. I didn't mean to scare you. I was missing you, and I came in to smell the perfume on your clothes." Peggy told me that story, and it was like a knife going through through my heart. It's like, I have the ability to help people get things done faster. And systems has been my life, everything I've done. And Cody has just picked up on that and just taking it, to the next level. But we teamed up on this most recent venture, and because of AI, because of all the things that's happening and what we can do now that we couldn't do, several years ago. And it's just been an extremely fun trip to be, working with my son. But, it's even more fun to help people realize what they can do and how it can affect their lives. So if we haven't taught you anything other than the word systems, really think about how can I automate or set up a process that is repeatable. What Christy was teaching, a lot of what she was teaching was systems, but it's in preparation for business, or how do you pick it? It's a system, okay? So we're really talking the same story. It's just a matter of our system is the physical process of getting the clients and moving them through that system in a repeatable business, just like McDonald's, just like Burger King. Now they don't necessarily have the world-class service, but it's a matter of having that system in place so that even a high school person can do that process.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
So earlier you're talking about what you did for 2 weeks, kind of a 30-minute check-in about what you're doing, how long you block out your typical day. Do you have an example of like how you compile that and whether you feed into like an AI system and what you get out of it?
Yeah.
Go through this exercise with people.
Yeah, one of the resources I think that we've got on there, if not, we can make sure that we get it to you, is a time blocking list, and basically you every 30 minutes just take up 30 seconds and write down, what am I doing, what's the major tasks that I'm trying to work on or finish. And you get that list, and over 2 weeks then you can just scan it, create it into a PDF or whatever, upload that to ChatGPT and say, break these out into systems for me, and making sure that you divide up. Now, for real estate agents, one big line might be the closing process. One line might be the marketing and sale process. One might be lead nurture process. There's multiple systems. Figure out the one that you really want to focus on and just deal with that. But you can go in there and say, okay, based off of this information, help me identify where can I improve. And it's crazy what it can do for you these days. And it's just a matter of, it has to know what you are doing, and it can figure out where the bottlenecks are, what the best ways to handle different things, and go through that process.
Yeah. And I think that that is a process that can be done for quite a lot of things, whether it's in your business, or even if you're looking to improve your diet. Like you can input a list into one of these LLMs, these ChatGPT, Grok, whatever your favorite one is, you can just pick and say, here's my list of things I would like to be more productive. You're kind of giving it an idea of what is our objective? Yeah, what's our goal? And here's the input. Help me, and then whatever you're hoping to accomplish, help me build a better system. Help me increase my flow. Help me understand where things are repeating. And your ability to do that is going to be really powerful.
Yes. So I understand that AI really is helpful for a lot of businesses that have clients and more, I would say, more tangible and products that are kind of like easily to like transition on to like a customer.
Mhm.
But for me, being in the sciences and being a chemist and being able to produce products, what I'm looking to do, when people find out what I do, it's like, yes, I have my products and they like the idea of me developing products for them. It's not the most financially feasible for a lot of small businesses. So what I'm looking to do is, how can I leverage AI for me to be able to, like the small things that a lot of people who are making things in their kitchen can be able to do uh, before they come to me, or before they come to like a contract chemist or something like that. Um, and I guess it's tough because coming from big pharma, they talked about trying to incorporate more AI and different machine learning models, but it's a visual game. Like if I'm looking at something melt, or if I'm looking at the color of something, AI isn't incorporated into certain, I guess like lenses or certain things to be able to verify.
Well, with the multimodal capabilities, doing colors and all that kind of stuff it can look at photographs of things and identify and do things that it needs to do. The thing as what you just brought up, as a chemist, and who is your customer?
So I'm doing business. So right now, my customers are fellow entrepreneurs who are making like skincare products, hair products, things of that nature, as well as people who are my biggest target base are people living with skin sensitivity. So eczema, psoriasis, alopecia, and the items that the doctors and dermatologists are prescribing to them are having the adverse side effects, which is making lose faith in those practitioners, as well as making them lose hope in anything on the market being able to work for them without furthering their issue.
Yeah. So now I have no idea about what all you collect and stuff, but if you've got lots of information like that, that's where you can incorporate that into the large language model and say, okay, here's my formulas. Here's formulas from other companies. These are the ones that have reactions. How can I manipulate minds so they don't have reactions. And there are lots of knowledge that it has out there already based off of what's already been programmed, and learned from things. I would think, and I need to spend a little time in there, but think about how can that knowledge be used to build content, to build information content for my potential customers and stuff, but also how can I formulate things differently and better? I would think.
Yeah.
That would be a fun experiment.
I know. I definitely. So I developed mine 8 years ago when I was in school. So my products were developed just with my natural brain, but it's so many chemicals and so many different names and how we do things here. Things are banned in other countries and getting things from others. So I do use it for that purpose, but it's still just trying to find the best way for me to help people, although they might not be where I am. So basically,
Yeah.
you get to generate maybe like a digital product, of course. For this is how you go from tablespoons to teaspoons to grams. So from your recipe to an actual formula. That way, when you come to me, it's more of how can we go from now you've already done this math. Now let's go from you making a batch size of 10. Let's do 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and cut down the amount of time so you can do and be able to present at whatever hair show or event that you're gonna be
Exactly.
at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good use case for like, you've got the knowledge, you get to stay the driver, these are tools, you still need to swing the hammer. And so you can take that wealth of knowledge, you can take all those pieces, and you can work with it to build out those content pieces, those lead magnets, and really like help drive that world-class experience. So that was our time. If you guys need to stay after and chat with us, more than happy to. You can reach out to us. But otherwise, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.